Mom! 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 Mommy! 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 Mama! 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 Ma! 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 Mom! 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 Mommy! Mommy! Mama! Mama! Mama!
What?
Hi.
Well, that was a very special sneak peek of our episode for today.
Yeah, that's basically the spark notes for the movie we watched this week.
Welcome to Scream Girls, everybody, the podcast where we rate and review scary movies. I'm Caitlin McKenzie.
And I'm Callie Goff.
Well, how are you, Cal?
So good. I have a recommendation.
Oh, good.
So I watched it this weekend. Darren Brown, I know I've talked about him in the past. It wasn't great, but he has a new show on Netflix that I highly recommend watching called Miracle. And it's a show that I saw in London, and it's amazing. It is a magic show. It's like just straight, he's not trying to get anybody, kill anybody. It's just a straight magic show on stage, and it's really good. And when we were there in London, Simon was in it. And so it was fun to watch. Mm-hmm.
That's cute.
He got kind of hypnotized. He went up on stage and Darren Brown asked him to try and lift a suitcase. And Simon couldn't lift it even one inch. And then Darren Brown was like, oh, well, that makes sense because open it. It's full of bricks. And he was like, now pick up one of those bricks. Like, is it heavy? And Simon was like, yeah, it's heavy. And then he was like, now zip it closed. And he was like, now I'm going to give you the strength. And Simon was able to lift this suitcase full of bricks across the stage. And it was crazy. And the whole show is just really good.
He instilled him with that move your car off a kid adrenaline.
True
move
that.
Move a car off your kid.
I also saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Did you like it? I haven't seen it yet. Uh-oh. I didn't...
2 stars.
Really? That's
2
a bummer.
stars. So sad. You know how I love dinosaurs.
I know. Well, were the dinosaurs good at least?
No.
Was Jeff Goldblum good?
Yes.
Wow.
Jeff Goldblum was a highlight. The dinosaurs...
He's 1 star unto himself.
The dinosaurs were not great.
Wow. There's no excuse for that these days.
Wasn't great.
Were they all CGI'd? This is the problem.
No, there was a lot of practical.
Okay.
Which
well,
was
then
cool.
that surprised me.
The story was bad.
I thought that about the first one, too. About the first one in the reboot cycle.
Yeah.
I just think, Chris Pratt's not that likable in them, which he's
no,
really likable.
especially now that he and Anna are Splitsville.
But he's super lovable in, Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not that he can't be an action hero. His character's just, a dick.
A dick.
Yeah,
Fuckboy.
He's a fuckboy for sure.
What's new with you?
Oh, gosh. Well, I'm almost healthy. Can you tell that I still have sick voice a little bit?
Yeah.
I feel a lot better, though. But I was sick for a fucking almost 2 weeks. My parents came to visit me for a week. I was sick for the entire visit, which sucked, but was also okay because my mom was, really nice to me and everything. You know, it's nice to have your mom when you're sick.
She probably liked having you need her. And
yeah. I mean, she was not happy that I was ill. She was concerned about that. But she was like, I'll just do your laundry real quick. I'll just make you a BLT. Yeah. Don't worry about it.
Oh my God, I feel like my mom would love nothing more than if I went home and was sick. She would Munchausen's by proxy me in order to be able to care for me and tend to me.
Well, it's so funny because
for a day, and then she'd be like, "Get your ass up."
Yeah, it would get old. They remember. They remember. They remember
yeah.
What it was actually like. It's funny because I got really sick not last year, like 2 or 3 Christmases ago while I was home, really sick. And I just noticed a difference in myself, when I'm sick here in my own world and my parents are nowhere around. It's okay, I gotta go to work. I got a social obligation. I'll take some time off to recover, but I really am popping Advil and just doing what needs to be done.
Keep it moving.
Oh my God. But when I was sick at home, I was just Mom, my sock is coming off. Help. It was, I couldn't do a goddamn thing for myself. Mama was there.
Mommy.
Oh,
Mama.
it's topical as well.
Mommy.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
I guess that's a good segue.
It's a good segue.
Yeah. So we watched
The Babadook.
The Babadook. Yeah. Americans say Babadook, but the Australians say Babadook.
Yeah.
And we at Scream Girls made a mistake. We should have recorded and released this during the month of June because, as we all know, Babadook is a gay icon and belongs in Pride. Belongs in the event that is Pride.
Now, I need to know why, because I Googled Babadook gay icon last night and I got 3 sentences into an article before I got distracted by the Real Housewives of New York. What is it all about?
My understanding is that he's just very dapper and fashionable. and like someone made a meme about it because they were like it like began with a single meme of someone ridiculously being like, Babadook is like doesn't care if he has to be scary, he's still gonna like look good while he's doing it or something like that.
Okay.
And then it became the thing.
If that's true, I think the little boy from Pet Sematary should be the next gay icon because he's a dapper little gentleman.
You're absolutely right. But we did do that one during Pride, so maybe we can like retroactively.
No.
But I will accept responsibility, and I am sorry, as an ally, I feel like we've failed the LGBT community by relegating the Babadook to July.
One of the funniest internet memes I've ever seen is, it's not a meme, I don't know what a meme is, but it's a picture, it's a post that was that one Halloween that I went dressed as the Babadook, but my friends were having more of a drink, wine, and chill party, and it's just a guy dressed as the Babadook amongst all people dressed normally, sitting in a chair, and everyone around him is just like sipping wine, eating cheese in normal clothes, and he's dressed as the Babadook. It's perfect.
That's why the Babadook is a gay icon, because he is himself,
he doesn't
no matter the context.
Yes.
Exactly. Born this way.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into this movie. I struggled with this movie plot-wise. I know you took good notes, so I'm excited.
See, I feel like I took good notes, but I do feel like there's a part in the movie where I kind of didn't pay as close attention, but that's okay.
It's just
It's
tough.
always, for me, the 3/4 mark, and then I'm like, I'm done.
Falls off. Well, my mom, I watched this with my mom, and so I wasn't able to, like, stop and start it and, like, take my usual notes because I was talking to her.
Right.
And then this movie is so sort of contained. It all takes place within, like, 3 locations, and it's sort of just a slow build of things that I think the creepy sequence of events kind of shuffles around and blurs together a little, but we'll do our best. Needs to be said, first movie both written and directed that we have covered by a woman. And unlike Pet Sematary, I feel that this movie is demonstrably directed and written by a woman in its themes and the treatment of its characters, which we'll get into.
Yes.
Which I'm very appreciative of.
Good thing Mary Lambert didn't direct the Babadook.
God, Mary. I mean, you know what? It was the 80s. She did what she could with what she had.
That's true. I retract. All right. So, how do we start?
Well, how do we open? We open with our lead character, Amelia, who's a lovely blonde Australian woman having a dream in which she's in a car accident, being kind of bashed around. She wakes up with her little boy who's scared. Little boy Sam, he's like 6, and he's had a nightmare, and she has to go and look in all the cabinets and under the bed for him and everything. And then he sleeps in the bed with her, and he's very annoying to sleep in the bed with, which I'm sure children are. I've never slept in a bed with a child as an adult.
It was real. Him grabbing the neck and
Little grubby, clammy little boy hands.
Yeah, and just like squeezing too tight.
Yeah. So we already see that she's like not so into
Yeah, she scooched like all the way to the edge of the bed.
She needs some space from her little boy. She takes him to school. It's so sad. Oh, by the way, okay, so this little boy is like, we learn he's been like making crazy weapons, like MacGyvering crazy slingshots, which A, like, he's only 6. Wow, what a smart little boy. B, why are you letting your son have fucking weapons all over the place? Throw them away, lady. But he breaks a window. He's running amok. She goes to her job at the senior center. She's pouring coffee out of those like church, fellowship hall fucking coffee pots.
Well, okay, I had a lot of thoughts in between before this happened.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't jump in.
That's okay.
I think this is going to be controversial in this room of 2.
Yeah.
This little boy is, like, too much for me. And at this point in the movie, at the beginning, he's, like, too much. I hate him so much that he is, like, the reason I have only returned to the Babadook once. Wow. Because I was like, oh, that little boy and his screaming.
He is screaming a lot.
He gets
and
better.
Causing a mess. Well, the thing with him is he is very obnoxious, especially in the beginning. He's screaming, he's having tantrums in a way that if you've ever been around a child who's somewhat disturbed or like even just has some behavioral issues, it's like, oh God, it's so real, and your nerves start to fray with hers.
Right.
It is hard to watch. I agree. And my mom watching it was like, what a troubled little boy. She, I think, thought that it was going to be a movie about a little boy who had behavioral issues and the mom had to deal with them.
Oh, I feel like that was such a thoughtful response from your mom, and it makes so much sense why you're so thoughtful, Kaitlin. And I was watching with Simon, and he was like, "Oh,
he's so
fucking
annoying."
brat."
Well, here's what got me for him, because I was like, why are you doing? I'm like, oh my god, he broke the fucking window, and that's gonna be expensive. I get it, but the part that breaks your heart in the beginning, where I was immediately on board with the little boy, is he gives his mom the biggest hug in the world. He just like squeezes her so tight, and she pushes him away, and she's like, don't do that.
Well, he squeezes her too tight. He hurts her.
I know, but it's also, you get the impression that she just doesn't want to be that.
Yeah.
Like, too much love from him makes it, because later he'll say, I love you, and she'll say, me too.
Yeah.
She's doing her best in these early scenes to be nice to him, to like take care of him. But it's just anybody can see that the love and affection is not there.
Okay.
And for a 6-year-old boy to be this loving without having had that kind of requisite affection is remarkable. And I feel so bad for him. Like, his mom doesn't love him.
Would you rather have him or Aiden from The Ring?
Him. Because he has personality and he's really smart and he'll save you if you get possessed by a fucking gay demon.
Aiden will pick out your funeral dress.
I don't want him in my shit. I'll pick out my own dress. I'll do the laundry, thanks.
Well, when this little boy was dressed up like a magician, did you think he looked like the Babadook?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's smart. That's a good
callback.
Yeah.
So she's a nurse.
Yeah.
And she's doing her nursing thing.
It's no fun. There's like a cute guy there that's like macking on her a little bit.
Well, also, do you think that's a thing that she's like, I guess not maternal, but she's very nurturing, and yet she has trouble showing love to her son?
I think she would have been a good mom if not for the tragedy, which we'll get to in a second.
So the school calls because little boy, what's his name?
Sam.
Oh, I was like, Timmy? Sam has serious behavioral problems. He had a weapon in school. He tried to shoot somebody with a dart.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Well, here's where she does show her maternal side of things, because she really stands up for him. Yeah, like the administrators are like, the boy needs help. The boy, blah, blah, blah. And she's like,
stop calling him the boy.
Yeah, don't call him the boy. He's a human being. He's not a problem to be solved. And it's like, you look at her and you're like, I wish that you could show this level of concern, like, to the face of your son.
Ugh, he's so annoying.
He's not annoying. I don't think he's annoying. I mean, yes, he's like a handful for sure, but I think he would be less so if she were more loving and warm.
It was around this part of the movie that I was like, I liked this movie more this time watching it. Yeah. And I won't get too ahead of what I'm going to rate it, because I actually liked the second half quite a lot. But at this point, I was like, I don't love this movie because it's less to me of a horror movie and more of just like straight allegory for... Yeah. But I'm trying to decide what, like an underrepresented side of motherhood, like disliking your child, or is it grief, resentment? Is it all those things?
I think it's both of those things, yeah. I think it's what trauma and grief will do to you if you don't deal with it. And it's like, I mean, we'll just get into why I love this movie, and not to give my rating away, but horror movies are not good with moms most of the time.
Right.
So either the mom is like totally evil and monstrous, like in Psycho, or Carrie, or Friday the 13th, or any number of things, or mother love is so powerful that it will save you, like in Poltergeist. Or, God, I just saw the new Insidious movie, and that has a really egregious mother love salvation thing in it. And never do mothers get to be complicated, to have these problems. I mean, and even though she's dealing with grief and not with like postpartum depression or something, I do think like the feelings that she has, especially for a single mom, of feeling totally overwhelmed, having a hard time feeling what she feels that she should for her son, is something that so many women struggle with that is not really explored at all.
Right.
In movies generally, but let alone horror movies. Hereditary touches on this a little bit too.
Yes. There was a lot of Hereditary things in this. Like, I think the Babadook laid some groundwork for Hereditary.
For sure. Like,
holy shit, speaking of Hereditary.
What?
Never, ever, ever, no matter what you do, no matter what anyone tells you to do, never watch a movie called The Strange Thing About the Johnsons, which is by the director of Hereditary. And I made the grave error of allowing my curiosity to get the best of me. And I am shook.
Callie texted me on like Saturday morning, just like, don't do it. And then I asked her what the strange thing about the Johnsons, is it the Johnsons? The Joneses?
The Johnsons, I think.
And she told me, which I won't tell you here because it's
and
a spoiler.
Don't read about it either, because
I did read
it'll
about
make you kind of want to watch it, and it's really fucked up.
Callie was like, please don't watch it. One of us has to be okay. So Callie took the bullet for us both, but we're not going to talk about that. No, I think it's an important public service announcement because that movie's going to be like in the zeitgeist right now because of Hereditary.
And it's readily available to you on YouTube, and I am telling you, no, Satan, do not.
Get behind me, Babadook.
Yeah, do not watch it. Anyway, back to the Bobs.
Back to Bobs. Okay. So all this being said about her having a hard time and her needing to be like more affectionate to her son, I really feel for this lady. Because what we learn very shortly after this scene is that her husband died in a car accident driving her to the hospital to have Sam. Which is the saddest fucking thing I've ever heard. It means that she had to adjust to a new baby and the loss of her husband on the same day.
Yes.
And this boy, we learned that they never celebrate his birthday on the actual day because it's irrevocably bound up with this horrible tragedy. It's been almost 7 years. She totally has dealt with it by just shoving it down and just going through the motions of motherhood and going through the motions of her life. But she's so miserable and sad and lonely. And I think on top of all this, though, of this trauma, she really is doing her best. Yeah. She can't feel what she needs to feel, and she's still getting up every single day. She's still advocating for her kid. She's doing everything that she's nice to him. It's not like she's abusive to him, which I think will be important later, which we'll talk about. She's just, emotionally not in a place where she can be the mom that he needs. It's really sad. It's really sad. So what happens next? Where are we?
They're at the park, and we meet the sister, who's a bitch, and the cousin, who's a bitch.
Huge bitch. Cousin also 6. I fucking hated her.
Yeah, she's a bitch. And Sam's being mummy, mama, mummy. And he climbs to the very top of the swing set, and they turn to look at him, and he's literally standing on top of it.
It's really jarring.
Yeah, then it cuts to him in the car freaking out.
Yeah, it looks really unnatural.
It looks very like Omen type thing.
Like he shouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
So later that night,
they find the book.
They read a book, yes. And she's like, pick it off the shelf. And he's like, here. And she's like, where'd you get this? And he's like, I don't know. It was on the shelf. So it's this mysterious book that has turned up.
Mr. Babadook.
Mr. Babadook. And it's a fucked up children's book that starts off nice with this like jaunty little sketch of a man with like a hat. It's not even a man. It's like a Muppety creature. Yeah. With like funny arms.
It really does look like that one Muppet that has a top hat.
Yeah. I like the design of the Babadook. I will just say. Me too. I don't think it's particularly scary. But it's a little unsettling, and it's cartoonish enough and, like, flat enough or something that it doesn't seem stupid. Right. Even though it is silly, it doesn't seem stupid.
Yes. And there are movies where the animated things like that do seem stupid.
Yeah, like in The Conjuring 2.
The Conjuring 2. I'm thinking about the tall,
Slenderman Babadook hybrid thing.
Yeah, and it was really goofy. And this didn't, you're right, to me it didn't feel goofy at all. It was just creepy.
Yeah, and it's like creative and it's fun, and now he's a gay
And I think probably also the fact that it is like a children's book. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it is kind of you can see it as a childhood creature that then is like creepy.
Yeah. So unfortunately, this little boy, is totally terrified of this. And he's already obsessed with monsters. The reason he's creating these weapons is because he's like, when the monster shows up, I'm going to kill it and I'm going to protect you.
Kill the monster.
So he freaks out. She finally gets him to sleep. Goes off. She's watching a romantic movie and feeling sad and lonesome. Goes off for a little me time with her vibrator, which was fun watching sitting next to my mom. I felt really blessed that my dad had left for his little workshop and he wasn't watching it with us.
Yes.
But,
that would have been at the point in the movie where my mom was like, Callie, made me turn it off.
My mom was playing solitaire on her iPad, so she was aware of what was happening, but we just got through it by
That's when you were like, I'm going to go get some cheese or crackers.
Yeah. But she's like almost about to, do what she set out to do, and fucking her little boy walks in, which is it's kind of like that scene in Black Swan where Natalie Portman's masturbating and then she realizes her mom is in the room next to her.
Oh, yeah, asleep. That's awful.
Yeah, it's a similar thing. But he's all freaked out because he's like, the Babadook is in my room, know? And he's like, I had shut the cabinet and now the cabinet's open again. And she's like, we're not doing this. Go to sleep. Yeah. Go to fucking sleep. And then the next morning, what happens?
The little boy has been expelled from his school. So
Yeah.
she drops the little boy off at her sister
Right.
Claire's house with the cousin Ruby, both little
Ruby.
bitches. And the coworker, so Amelia
Yeah.
is at work, and
Our
she
girl.
says Sam is sick, and her sweet coworker, yes, boner boy, yes,
Yeah.
he wants to get in her pants, but he's trying to do something nice for her. He seems to genuinely like her.
Yeah.
He's like, leave over, I'll cover for you, so you can go see Sam. And she leaves, but she does not go see Sam. She goes to the mall, she walks around, she gets an ice cream. She lives the life of a motherless person for a couple hours.
She desperately needs some me time. Like,
Yeah.
she needs some fucking alone time. She needs a break.
She ends up going to her sister's house, and the little boy, I almost said Aiden. I think I'm just going to go with that. Aiden is sitting outside. Sam is sitting outside. And Claire comes running out. And she's like, where have you been? Where have you been, you bitch? I've been texting.
That's a little New Zealand. You're going a little point
I've
of the Concord.
been calling you. And I do a horrible Australian accent. It's probably one of my worst.
I'm not even going to attempt
I'll
it.
just do Irish.
Yeah, do Irish.
Like,
Irish
I've been calling you. And he wouldn't stop talking about the Babadook. And
yeah, he's like talking to the Babadook.
Yes.
And freaking them out.
Freaking him out. Oh yeah, Claire says, he even freaked me out.
Yeah. And then so they're in the car going home, and she's like, enough of the fucking Babadook. He's not real.
Yes.
I don't think anything's scary.
Well,
happens.
then he ends up in the basement. He's fucking with a bunch of stuff. She gets mad that he's in the basement. She's like, all your father's things are down there.
Yeah.
And then
he's like, he's my father. You don't own him.
yeah.
I can't do it
And the
either.
coworker comes over.
Yeah. And
be
he's
sweet.
like, I got this for you because you're sick. The little boy gives him a model airplane.
And Sam can't keep his damn little mouth shut. And he's
No.
like, I'm not sick.
Yeah, and she's like, he's not sick, he's just too disobedient. And they have like
yeah.
a screaming, embarrassing fight in front of Robbie.
So
That's the last we
embarrassing.
see of Robbie. It
Robbie's
scares
like,
him away.
ooh.
But maybe not. I mean, I did appreciate actually that this movie didn't end with her like then going on a date with Robbie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like she doesn't need.
So do you think Robbie
that.
was like, listen, I can date like a hot single mom? And then he got one look at Sam and he was like, I'm out of
I
here.
think you just gotta look at the whole situation.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
just pretty
well,
toxic.
You have a soft spot in your heart for Sam.
Sam didn't do anything scary in that scene.
Yeah, except he was like, I'm
yelled.
not sick.
Well, he wasn't sick.
He's
Wouldn't you be confused if you're 6 and some
No,
guy comes
I
over
would
and he's
know.
like, are you sick?
I would hear the family cue, which was "Käften Poda," which was Swedish for "shut the fuck up" or something like that. And it was what my family would say when I was saying something I shouldn't be saying.
Oh, that's so funny. I never had that.
It's the whole family says it to each other. Like even my mom will be like, I don't know, confusing genders with like our waiter or waitress, and we'll say "Mamam, "Käften Poda," and she's like, "Okay," and it just means shh, zip it.
We should have one of those in my family. I don't know. I don't think we have
Yeah,
any
like
Swedish lore.
you need it. Don't say
know.
that because I think it's wrong. Like I think
Whatever it is.
it's been like butchered. If you're from Sweden, we have Swedish listeners. What
Yeah.
phrase am I trying to say?
Yeah, please write in. Please, please, please. In an iTunes review,
I
preferably.
spoke to a Swedish person once, and she said it means shut your mouth.
Oh,
Basically,
that's nice.
which is nice to say to a 6-year-old
Well, they don't know.
who's just asking
Just a
an
code word.
innocent question about a lady's skirt, for example.
What, like where'd you get your skirt, or why is your skirt tucked into your tights? Or
Yeah,
like, what?
more like, why is that lady's skirt falling off? I don't know. And my mom would be like,
wow.
"Shut your mouth."
I mean,
You get it.
But the thing is, I just don't think that the little boy did anything wrong here.
Mm.
His mom is being really mean to him. And he's right. He never has known his dad. He's really curious about him. She won't talk about him.
Yes.
So, anyway, Robbie gets scared off. That night,
But he's destructive, the little boy. Because
is.
she goes in the basement and he's taken all the stuff out. He's also made a dad-like thing out of the clothes. He's hung up basically he's made a dad out of
which
clothes.
is really sad.
Sad.
I mean, he's a little boy, but like 6-year-old boys get into shit. He's not like hurting anybody on purpose, you know?
True.
I just watched a documentary called The Dangerous Son. It was called The Dangerous Son. It's on HBO, it's new, and it follows 3 families where they have sons with tremendously scary behavioral problems. One of them has like an autism spectrum disorder, and he's actually really sweet, but he also has some kind of like dissociative schizoid disorder where he'll have hallucinations. and then he'll freak out and start threatening to kill people. Another one has like an 11-year-old who like will hit his mom and threaten to kill his little sister, and like they just can't control him. It's just about these kids about parents who have not done anything wrong,
right?
But they have a child that has a severe mental illness or
Right.
psychological disorder, and there's all this judgment heaped on them, and it's hard. And this little boy, having watched that documentary, I was like, this little boy isn't a dangerous son. He just wants attention.
Okay.
Well,
I have to tell you, my heart I changed midway through.
Yeah, well, he grows too. They both grow together.
Yeah.
So what happens at this point? Oh, she makes them porridge for dinner, and she's eating porridge, and she goes out, and she pulls a piece of bloody glass out of her mouth.
Yeah.
Which is scary. And then
she looks at her son like, what the fuck did you do? And he's like, the Babadook did it, Mom.
Yeah. He has previously told her, she's like, why haven't I seen the Babadook? And he's like, because it wants to scare you first. So she's like suspicious. She makes him go watch a DVD. She makes that
creepy magician's DVD.
She made a thin white porridge for dinner.
I thought it was soup.
Oh, was it soup?
I thought it was like a leek.
Oh, maybe
soup,
like a potato soup.
Yeah.
Okay, that's acceptable, but not with glass in it.
Well, I liked that the house had the house is all gray. The house they were in, the home.
So this is a gray
and it had
movie.
A very storybook quality to it because of that.
Absolutely.
Which is cool. So at this point, she has, when she goes down to the basement and the boy has, taken all the stuff out of the boxes, she sees a photo of her and her husband, and she takes it upstairs. At this point, she's walking up the stairs. She goes into the bedroom, and the photo of the two of them is on the bed, and the husband's face is drawn on.
That's
and
right.
She's like, did you do this or whatever? And then at some point the little boy says, do you want to die? I don't remember when that happens.
So she's upset. She thinks that he has done that, which he didn't. It's the Babadook.
Yeah.
And then they go to bed. And then I think she's like watching TV, rubbing at her jaw. She has like a TMJ situation happening. And I think the little boy wakes up screaming.
I can't remember.
She goes into his room, and she finds that the Babadook book, which he has previously put on top of the bookshelf, out of sight, is now in his room. So she takes it and she rips all the pages out and she throws it away. And then what happens next? The next day,
they go to the birthday party.
They go to Ruby's birthday party. And all the rich bitches are rich bitching, saying nasty things to her.
All wearing shades of black and gray.
Yeah.
At a child's birthday party.
And they all are like facing her. She's alone on one side of the table and they're all on the other side of the table. And one of them complains about, she says something nasty to her about like, I work with disadvantaged women and they find it so difficult when they've lost their husbands. And she's just like, And then she says something about how she can't go to the gym. She doesn't have time to go to the gym anymore. And fucking Amelia goes off on her. That must be so hard for you. Well, what do you have to talk about with all those disadvantaged women if you can't go to the gym?
So here's another small detail in that scene too. Claire, the sister, is like, oh, Amelia, why don't you tell them about, some of the things he's written? And she's a writer, and she does some children's stuff. Right. And I was like, oh, did she write the Babadook?
Oh, interesting. She didn't, though.
I mean, why include that little detail, though, if it's not the Babadook is inside of her or
something?
I
guess. She could have, but, like
she does
she went out and had it bound, and, like, I feel like it's just a mysterious...
Well, I don't think she physically, literally wrote it. Right. But I think maybe it is a manifestation of herself.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
And part of that is that she writes children's lit.
Well, and then there's that terrible irony. It was like she was writing for children, and then she had a child, and now she can't relate to her own child, too. Yeah, that was an interesting touch. While this is all happening, Ruby, like, what's his name? Our little bit boy, Sam, is hiding up in the fucking tree. And Ruby comes in and starts yelling at him about how his dad died so he wouldn't have to see him.
He didn't have a dad.
Love him. Like, the most heinous shit. Like, that's dangerous son shit. If my kid was saying that to another kid and I found out, there's nothing crueler you could say. And it's like, where did she pick up this shit?
Oh, and he's being, like, so sweet and being like, that's so true. Like, he's not being horrible.
And then he, he loses it and he pushes her and she falls out the treehouse and breaks her nose.
And all the while
she fucking deserves it.
Yeah, she does, in 2 places. And all the while this is happening, the sisters, Amelia and Claire, are talking. And Amelia's like, well, you never even come over anymore. And Claire's like, because I can't stand being around your son. You can't stand being around him either. And it's like...
a good Australian accent.
Thank you. I really feel like I nailed it. I practiced just that line. Anyway, that was like some real tough shit.
Yeah.
But it's also not, like, but I'm
fuck off.
Well, yes, A, fuck off. B, I feel like in this episode I'm sounding like a heartless bitch, but there are kids that are tough to be around.
For sure. Absolutely. But the thing
I mean,
is,
Ruby's no peach.
And the thing is, though, if you're going to say that to your sister, you shouldn't be saying, I can't stand to be around your son. You need to say, I have serious concerns about your son's
I'm worried
behavior.
about your son.
I don't feel safe bringing my kid around him.
Yeah.
Like, that's real talk. What she does is cruel. And then later, Amelia is getting really freaked out, and she calls her and wants to talk about it. And she's just like, I don't have time to listen to you anymore. Blah, blah, blah. She's, like, so annoyed at hearing about... First of all, Amelia makes the point, like, I never talk about Oscar, her dead husband. She's like, I never talk about him anymore. What do you want me to do? She's like, well, you need to get over it. It's like... Bitch, her husband died on the day her son was born.
Yeah, I really don't
It's
like...
sociopathic how mean her sister is to her.
I also just... Having watched The Housewives, which has a number of widows on it, I really don't like anyone putting any sort of time limit or any limitations on how long or how much you can talk about someone who's passed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like it lacks a real empathy to be like,
Right.
you know, you need to get over it or whatever. It's like, maybe she'll never get over it and it's okay.
It's not like she's even talking about like a divorce or a breakup. We've all had those friends where we've had to be like, girl, you
gotta move on.
to move on.
Yeah, no. If someone dies,
that's a whole different
also,
kettle
like,
of fish.
it changed the whole trajectory of her life.
Yeah.
So...
And she can't afford to pay for shit. And,
Nope.
like, your life is so great and you have a husband and a kid that you love and whatever. It's just, like, we'll get into it.
You're as cold as ice.
It's so mean. I mean, the thing about this movie is it's very much like a fable. So I'm sorry, I didn't even acknowledge that you sang. It was beautiful.
Just, like, sang
and then I ignored it, and then Callie just, like, stopped and looked at me like, oh, no, oh, no.
I just mouthed, sorry.
No, it was wonderful. No, but okay. But this movie is a fable, so it's like, I guess it's okay that
It's
some of
a
the characters
fable.
are stock characters. It is, right? Because it's like this crazy, like, fairy tale thing happens, and, like,
yes, that's a good,
you know, and it's sort
word
of
for it.
contained and small. So maybe it makes sense that the characters are sort of one-dimensional in their horridness, other than our two
Well, they definitely
leads.
are. There's, like, good characters and bad characters.
Right. So I guess
Sam
you can give it a pass, but...
Sam and Amelia are the only two that don't fall into good or bad.
Yeah, there are layers.
Shades.
People. Shades of gray like their house.
Yes. Then she's taking him home, and she yells at him, why can't you just be normal? And because he's seen the Babadook in the car, he's going, get out. And then he has a full, like, epileptic style fit where he seizes, essentially, and
which
she freaks out, takes him to the doctor.
The doctor's like, I'll refer him to a psychiatrist because there's nothing physically wrong with him, but he's operating with a really high level of anxiety, and he's committed to the monster theory.
All?
I know, but to be 6 and have that level of anxiety. So she asked the doctor, okay, great, thank you. Can you give me something to help him sleep? And the doctor, like, I thought this was an interesting scene. The doctor looks at her with what you can read as judgment or you can read as pity. You know what I mean? But he's kind of like, well, they can cause nausea and they make the kid really dopey. Like, most mothers don't want to do it unless it's really bad. And she's like, neither of us have slept in days. It's really bad. And she starts crying. You really get a sense of how completely frayed and exhausted she is. And at this point, too, you know, we've been seeing a series of nights, and every night the little boy has woken up and needed, and so on top of everything else, she's super sleep deprived.
Right.
Which just leads to sort of this dreamlike, surreal quality of things. It lends itself to that. So he gives her the sedatives. She gives it to the little boy. He takes it. This is when he says, I love you, Mom. And she says, yeah, me too. Which is so sad.
And this was the other really sweet thing he said. He was like, I promise to protect you if you promise to protect me. And it was like, first of all, a kid shouldn't have to worry that their parent is going to protect them, because that should be like the no-brainer. And also he shouldn't have to worry about protecting his mother. Things are definitely getting wrong in the roles. Things are going wrong in their roles. Oh yeah, I love you, Mom. Me too.
I wrote oof next to that.
I wrote a big yeesh.
Yeesh and oof. Both correct. What happens next? I wrote this is a fable.
So the mom gets to sleep, finally.
The mom gets
to sleep. You're right. So fable, it's really interesting because there's this moment where she falls. It's like slow motion, her falling onto the bed.
Yeah.
And it has this very fairy tale-like thing to it.
Yeah.
And it was at that moment I was like, this is a horror movie. Like, 100% that is the genre. But it doesn't really feel like it at a lot of parts.
No.
Like, I don't know.
It's kind of like a quiet interior drama. With scary, not even scary movies, scary story elements.
Yeah.
The Big Bad
like
Wolf.
grim. Like, like a fairy tale. Yeah.
Well, so what happens now? Okay, this part is a little bit scary. There's a pounding on the door, and I wrote pounding is scary.
Pounding is scary,
We've established
yes.
this in many of our films. She opens the door, and the fucking book is there. And the book has been reassembled with, like, a new ending. And it's a pop-up book, and it shows her killing their little dog, Bugsy. And it shows her strangling the little boy. Like, literally her, and then the Babadook is, like, it's inside you. Like, once you let it in, you'll never get rid of it. I don't know. It's a whole rhyme. And, you know, so she's like, fuck, somebody's stalking us and has, you know, given us this book. She burns the book. So
I thought you were going to say ancient
She calls her fucking sister Claire. Claire's a bitch about it. She goes to the police and she's like, I have a book. This book is happening. And they're like, where's the book? And she's like, well, I burned it. And so they're like, well, we can't really help you.
Basically, at this moment, I was like, this is one of the reasons, not that I don't think this is a good movie, but why I personally don't like watching this movie, and it's because no one will help this person. I don't like movies where there is nothing going right for the lead character, like Meet the Parents. I hate Meet the Parents.
That's one of my least favorite movies of
I
all
hate
time.
it because everyone's a dick. Nothing can go right for the lead character, and it just drives me bananas. So this was that same thing. All the people are dicks around her.
Yeah.
Every single person. So, anyway.
That's frustrating,
Then she goes home.
She, like, sees the Babadook or something that suggests the Babadook in the police station, and she runs away. Yeah, she goes home, and she discovers a cockroach infestation in the wall. There's a hole in the wall, and all these cockroaches are coming out, chittering. Chittering is the word that the subtitles gave me, and it was hacked. It was gross. And then while this is happening, the house is, like, a wreck because she's ripped it apart to, like, treat this infestation. Some social workers show up at her door.
Which, also good for her, and, like, what a mom move to, like, just literally roll up your sleeves and deal with it. I would have been like, I'm out. Goodbye.
Well, there was a cockroach in my bathroom, and my mom was like, there's a cockroach, and I just, like, went in and killed it, and I was like, I feel like I've arrived. I'm taking care of business.
Sisters are doing it for
New York, man. You get used to them. But so...
bad timing. The social workers show up.
They show up, and then she's like, there's a hole in the wall that the cockroaches are coming from, and they look, and there's no hole there.
Yeah, and groggy old Sam is like, I'm just really sleepy because of the drugs Mom gave me.
I know. Which is like, no kid would say that. They would say, like, my medicine or something. I know.
Like,
and she's like, not drugs. It's a sedative. The doctor prescribes it because
it's a tranquilizer.
Which is like doesn't sound better.
Yeah,
tranquilizer doesn't sound better.
No.
So, and I'm not clear on. I guess they're there because he's been expelled from school.
Yeah, and he's not re-enlisted anywhere.
But you know, so they go away. They're like, all right, well, we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
To check on you.
Sam wants to go to sleep.
Sam wants to go to sleep because he's so tired. And she's like, you can't go to sleep yet because the pills won't work if you go to sleep at 6 p.m. Don't you want to stay up with your mom? And he's like, no. It's really sad. He
just, like, wants to put himself to bed, which, like, what kind of kid just wants to go to bed?
Because he's so tired from all the drugs.
He's so tired, yeah.
I mean, and she is feeling, like, a little bit guilty about it, you can see. And it's a bummer. The next day, they're like, I don't know. He does something that freaks her out, makes her upset. At some point, I think it's here, she's sleeping with Sam, in the bed with Sam for some reason or other, and the Babadook, she, like, sees it on the ceiling. It's just sort of a shadow, and then it swoops down and, like, goes into her mouth, basically. She wakes up, and she's like, we're going downstairs. She makes Sam come downstairs.
Turns on all the lights.
Turns on the lights. She's watching TV.
This is when she's watching The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, basically.
And there's a creature that looks like the Babadook
Nosferatu
in it.
Yeah.
So she's really freaked out, and then time passes, and she hasn't slept at all. So she's super sleep deprived.
And she goes upstairs, and Sam is like, Mommy, I'm really hungry. This literally was the Mummy Mama Lois part. And he's like, Mommy, I'm really hungry, and I don't feel good, and I'm nauseous because of the medicine. And she goes, why do you keep talking?
Her voice gets really scary.
Also the, like, talk is like, you know, Babadook, Dook, Dook.
Yeah.
And he's really sweet at this part, and he's just hungry. And she goes, go and eat shit.
Yes.
To which Simon said, bear.
Because he was shocked at you for having chosen
He
this
was
film.
shocked that she said go and eat shit to her kid.
My mom was also really upset by that, as you would be. I had to keep it like, it's going to be okay.
Yeah. So then does she apologize right away, or she takes a little nippy
She might take a little nip, but she goes in and she's like, I'm so sorry, I don't know why I said that. Come on, I'll make you something to eat. And he's like, I don't want anything. And she's like, I'll take you to like the equivalent of Friendlies. You know, they're at the
so they
restaurant.
go and eat, and all the kids in this fucking movie are a nightmare because their kids also being fucking nightmares.
Yeah, and she's looking at him like smiling,
being like, my son is actually sweet.
Yeah,
because those kids won't fucking sit down. Yeah. And I feel like it's this moment of like, oh yeah, all kids are terrible sometimes.
Yeah, it's sad because she's feeling really bad about what she has done. On the way home, she realizes that there are fucking cockroaches all over. She's
and
driving.
The Babadook's hitching a ride.
The Babadook's in there. He makes her freak out. She crashes into another car. The guy starts yelling at her, and she just, like, peels out. She's like, I can't with this.
Roll out.
I get it. But don't do that if you ever crash into someone.
She's having a terrible time, this woman.
She just cannot catch a damn break.
She's Gaylord Fokker, and, like, the world is not going her way. And she doesn't have any money.
She can't, like, so she just pieces out. It's fine. She's got a Babadook
Also, she has the
her.
fucking Babadook in the car.
Yeah, she doesn't.
She's gotta get home.
She's like, there's a bee, as in Babadook, in the car. That's why. Anyway. There's a bee in the car.
Babadook.
So they go home. I wrote, this kid needs so much therapy. What happens?
Yeah, because he said, Mom, I can call Auntie Claire. I can call her, and she can come over. Yeah. Because I think the mom is, like, sitting comatose or something.
The mom's sitting in the bathtub, like, yeah. Actually, this part was amazing. She's sitting in the bathtub, and she's just sort of like, Auntie Claire doesn't want to talk to us anymore. He goes in. She stands up. And you realize she's sitting fully clothed in a tub of water. She's not just sitting in the empty tub. She lifts him fully in his clothes, and he sits down. She goes, it's nice and warm in here. Now, this is an interesting thing. My mom at this moment said, is she going to drown him? Which I was like, no, Mom. And then I thought about it.
Mom.
But then I thought about it, and I was like, that's not a crazy thing to think. Because
that actually would have been kind of cool.
There have been really, there was that really, I can't remember her name, but that woman who drowned all her kids in the bathtub because she had postpartum depression.
Yeah, there was just a story about her recently. I didn't read it.
But I mean, like, this is something that's in the cultural knowledge.
Yeah,
so, like,
I didn't mean it would be cool. It's terrible.
Well, it would have been
cool for the movie.
But my point is, the movie is playing on an association that we have in that moment. It's like a bathtub is a really loaded
scary
image
thing for a mom
for
who's
an
unhinged.
unstable mom and a kid. Yeah, yes. For sure.
Also, okay, yes, and I've been joking around, but I did have a moment where I was like, the dynamic of a child living with a mentally ill parent must be so incredibly distressing. Yeah. And like at that part, he's bright enough to know that I just feel like most kids are bright enough to know when something's wrong with their parent, right. And she's come undone at this part, and he knows it. And he's trying, I can call so-and-so. He's trying, he ends up, to protect her. He ends up fucking sneaking in the middle of the night. Yeah. To call their neighbor. But not before the mom goes down and gets the violin. What is the violin? The dad's violin from the basement. Oh. And she brings it up to bed with her because he was a musician. And she brings it up to bed with her, and she's laying in bed with it, snuggling it. Oh, that's so sad. And the boy goes to touch it, and she goes, leave it! They fall asleep. She wakes up. The little boy's not there, and he snuck downstairs to call the neighbor and be like, can we come sleep at your house tonight? Which is such a mature, brave thing for him to have done. And at this point, the mom like goes full abusive, and she cuts the phone cord. She gets lies out a to knife. The neighbor. She's like, we're fine, Gracie, no He's problem. Just being misbehaved yet again. And so, she literally takes a fucking butcher knife and cuts the phone cord, and she's waving it around, and it's very scary. So I wrote down that she runs around locking all the doors and windows. I'm not sure why. She's watching, at a certain point, she's watching TV, like, in her stupor, and she sees a news report that's like, the woman stabbed her son, then charged up police with a knife, and was shot dead. No one knows why. And then she sees her own face in the window. Yeah. Of that news report. That's after this, yep. Okay. So she's sitting there watching. The little boy is on the couch, bloody. Yeah, his throat is cut. It's really upsetting. And I literally immediately just said to my mom, it's not real, before she could even register it, because I just didn't want her to think it was happening. She wakes up, and it's a very hereditary moment, and she's standing there with a knife in her hand, and the little boy has screamed, Mom! And then they go back to watching TV. I guess. Because he goes upstairs. They're watching TV, and that's when she sees herself in a news report. Yeah. And I just thought that this was very effective. The sound of a TV late at night, at some point at night, starts to get really creepy. She's wearing a nightgown. Now, nightgowns. Let's talk about nightgowns for a minute. Have you ever worn a nightgown? When I was a kid, yeah. Yeah. Have you ever worn one as an adult? No. I wear night shirts sometimes. Like a cotton tee that's long, almost to your knees. I was like Rip Van Winkle? No, like running through the town? Like a t-shirt, but it's extra long. Like it's intended to be slept in, but it's not like... I just feel like whenever I wear a nightgown, I wake up and it's just wrapped up around I know, but I don't care. My just breasts are out. I just don't care though.
that that's happening. I used to have like a flannel nightgown with like when I was a kid, with like a itchy rough around the
didn't we
neck.
all?
Why'd you have that? Why'd we have that? And also footy pajamas where your feet would sweat to fuck. I hope those are gone now. I hope kids don't have those anymore.
I had an adult pair for a really long time.
With footies?
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't with the footies. I need my feet to breathe.
Yeah, me too. Okay, well, this is when she sees the husband in the basement.
Oh, this is
hot.
when she sees the husband. He's so hot.
He's so hot. She goes down to the basement. There's the ghost of her husband. She's like, I thought you were dead. And he's like, I'm not dead or something. He's like,
we can be together.
We can be together. All you have to do is bring me the boy. Just bring me the boy. And
Yeah,
then
he
his
goes
voice
full
becomes
Babadook.
Babadooky. And she is like, stop calling him the boy.
Throwback to her throwdown with the administrators in the beginning.
Yes, and this was also the moment where I was like, there is nothing funny in this movie.
No, they don't really crack a joke.
Not
The little
one.
boy, when the little boy says, Mom, I think I'm gonna vomit, it's kind of funny. Because it's just like, oh, Jesus. I thought the little boy.
Oh, I might have laughed at some parts, but I think it was more of an uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's not a jokey movie at all.
Yeah, so, okay, I felt like it definitely gets scarier as it goes, though, because now the Babadook is within her, and he is all around.
Yes.
And when he, like, extended his talons, I don't remember what part this was, but it scared me. I jumped a little bit.
Yeah. So she's sitting watching TV, being a creep.
Yeah, at this point, she's, like, possessed.
Yeah. And I think at this point, the Babadook has, like, fully flown down into her once again.
Her bod.
Yeah, it's like
Babadook
she's been
has
crawling.
entered her.
I forget how it happens, but the Babadook shows up and she's, like, crawling away from it, and then it, like, fully takes over. So she's watching TV like a creep, and the dog comes downstairs, Bugsy. And Bugsy previously has been, like, you know, in a horror movie, a dog is the first to know that some shit is going down. Yeah. And I thought it was really sad. There's one part where she's crying and really sad, and she's like, Bugsy, come here, sweetheart. And he won't. And having, you know, not having ever been possessed, it's really sad when you want your pet to come and comfort you, and they won't. It's, like, really, really sad, because they have their own minds. But anyway, in this point, Bugsy is right, and he's fucking around with, I don't know, he's barking at her. She picks him up.
And this is also when she does the scary movie Run.
Oh, yes.
Which is like...
She does a skitter. She grabs him, and I, at this point, could not remember if the dog lived or died. Frantically was trying to Google, does the dog live or die, so that I could warn my mother, but it was too late. The dog died, and we both went, and my mom was like, okay. I didn't think this movie was going to be upsetting.
Not okay.
So then she kills Bugsy, and then...
pulls her own tooth out.
Oh, yeah, she pulls her own tooth out, which was gross. Her TMJ turns out to be just a tooth that she's got to get out.
Ouch.
Pulls it out with her bare fucking hands. The little boy runs away, hides in his room. She goes up, starts banging on the door. She's like, Bugsy's hurt. Do you want him to die? You have to come out. He's hiding, and he's pounding. At this point, my sister called. We had to pause it, and my sister was like, how do you like Babadook, Mom? And my mom was like, rather stressful. So that was the takeaway.
I get it.
Mom. For Pam, that was her rating. And
the mom freaking out was traumatizing, because it reminded me of my own mom this one time that I messed up a couch getting delivered to our house.
She yelled at you and kicked the door in with her bare feet?
She went full Babadook.
Oh, no, what happened?
Babadook, duck.
Nancy.
So, you know, I'm not even going to say that I didn't have a lot of common sense, because I was a kid. I was like 15. Yeah. And we were getting couches delivered to the house, and my mom said, you have to be here when the couches get delivered. I'm going to work. And Meredith was over, my BFF, and we were waiting for the couch to be delivered. They came, they delivered the couch. I didn't know to tell them to take it down to the basement. I just didn't know. Like, I didn't...
You never had something delivered?
I never had something delivered. And I was like, I don't want them to put it in the wrong spot. I don't know. They're just dropping off the couch. So I'm pretty sure they just, like, left it in my living room. And me and Meredith proceeded to, like, bop around all over it and whatever. We fall asleep watching TLC or something. My mom comes home. Oh, Lordy. She was like, why is that couch? She was like, no. Meredith, you have to go home right now. Like, she became full Babadook. And to this point, Meredith is like, that is the most angry I have ever seen your mom ever. Wow. And Meredith, like, basically lived at my house.
She was really stressed out at the idea of moving the couch.
Yeah.
I guess single mom.
Single mom, like, man.
You can't move
she was
the
like,
couch by
I
yourself.
Needed those men to bring it downstairs. I can't do it by myself.
How'd you get it down there? What happened?
I blacked out. I don't know. I was locked in my room.
It's still
for
in the living room to this day.
Yeah. She gave me a sedative and put me upstairs.
I can't believe it, Nancy. It's okay. It's just an accident.
It's okay. Recently, I was like, she got mad at my little brother for not putting the Christmas tree in the right spot. And she was like, common sense. And I was like, Mom, we need to talk about this. I was like, common sense versus under communication.
Yeah.
I was like, if you just tell people exactly what you expect them to do, and then if they mess it up, then you can be upset. But if you haven't, then you can't be the Babadook about it. And I literally was like, Mom, Meredith remembers this. It was traumatizing for both of us. And she was like, oh, I don't even remember.
She fully just blacked out.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. All right. Well, we have our girl goes full Nancy here.
Woo!
And she like hoists herself up by the door frame and kicks the fucking door in.
Oh my God, this was so scary.
The little boy escapes somehow.
Yeah.
She tries to get him.
And he's like, I just want you to be happy.
Oh, it's so sad.
So
I don't
sad.
want you to die.
Oh my God.
And then
he goes full Data from the Goonies, and he starts booby trapping me. Like
he
uses
creates
all
a
her
Home Alone
weapons.
situation.
Yeah.
He shoots her with a dart with his weapon.
Yeah.
Then
And then he stabs her, and then this part made me laugh out loud. He stabs her and then goes, I'm sorry.
I know,
I'm
it's
sorry.
so cute.
And it reminded me of all the times when my brother would like hit me, and then I'd start crying, and he'd be like, oh, Kelly, I'm sorry, don't tell Mom, don't tell Mom. Like, literally, he'd be like, I'm sorry.
My sister used to tell my mom that I had hit her when I hadn't. Isn't that fucked up?
That is fucked.
She's a great person, but that was a really shitty phase that she went through.
No, my brother and I would roughhouse, and then he would just like take it one step too far, and I knew if I started crying, he'd stop. And so I'd start crying.
That's
and
some
he'd be
little
like, I'm
sister
sorry.
bitch-a-tude.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Gotta work the system.
Okay. So, and the reason that he has stabbed her is because she's like, I'm sorry, Sam. I want you to meet your father. And you're like, oh no! And so then he stabs her and then he goes downstairs. And then he trips her and she falls down the stairs because he's set up like a tripwire. And then he smacks her really hard and she falls and hits her head and she passes out.
Yep.
She wakes up. He's tied her up. What a resourceful little boy.
He really is.
He did it.
Strong, brave.
See? I'm telling you.
I know, my heart has turned.
He is tough in the beginning.
My heart grew 3 sizes.
But the roles have to flip. And he tells her, Mom, I'm not giving up on you.
Yeah.
I know you don't love me because the Babadook won't let you, but I love you.
And I always will.
And I always will. Here's something I want to say. I think the movie did a good job prior to this of making her seem like mostly a good parent in every functional way. Because at this point, if this movie was a realistic depiction of an abusive mother or something, this would not be a cool way to respond to that. Like, the kid being like, I'll always love you, like, even though you're the worst.
Yeah.
It's not an inaccurate representation of a lot of children's feelings toward abusive parents, but it would be, like, tough.
True.
So, I mean, and this is where it's a fable, too, is that it's not that this is a manifestation of her anger and her issues, but it's not like she is actually generally a bad person or an abusive person.
Right.
So it's like it really simplifies what is generally a very complex issue here.
Right.
But as a way of like allegorizing it, I guess.
And not to get too literal, but it's, that he says, I know you don't love me, the Babadook won't let you. It's like the Babadook is, as you said, like a manifestation of whatever, her grief, her...
So you just have to take it, again, as a fable, as an allegory. You can't look at it as a complex representation of this relationship at this point.
Well, then she frees herself and she grabs Sam by the throat and she's choking him. And he reaches out his little baby hand and strokes her face. And so she starts fighting the Babadook from inside. She flips over and barfs it up.
Yeah, it's like ink. She barfs up all this ink.
That was cool.
Yeah, it was. The part where the child was being strangled was very difficult to watch. That's a tough thing to watch, a little boy getting fucking strangled. But yeah, so
and I'll
she
tell you, at
fights
this point, I liked him, and it was upsetting me. I wasn't like, yeah, do it, or anything.
Good,
like
I'm
that.
glad, Kelly. I'm glad she didn't cheer.
Just so you all know how, like, warm-hearted I am.
Oh, man. So at this point,
they're kind of like,
upstairs, they're like, it's over, and then all of a sudden he goes, you can't get rid of the Babadook. And the Babadook, he, like, gets pulled upstairs by an invisible force. So she chases after him, and she pulls him away from the Babadook. It's like she's tug-of-war with him. And then the Babadook kind of shows its nasty face.
Meanwhile, the house is, like, crumbling. And, like, how's she going to fix that house?
She ain't got no money.
She ain't got no money.
She sees a specter of her dead husband again. We see him, he says what he said to her right before he died, where he's like, just relax, 10 more minutes and we'll be there. Don't worry, sweetheart. And then you see his head get sliced in half.
It's gonna rain.
It's really sad. And then he gets killed. And she falls to the floor, but then the Babadook tries to take Sam again. And she yells, she roars at it, and she says, if you touch my son again, I'll fucking kill you. And then the Babadook, goes away. It cowers and it goes into the basement and hides in the basement.
Yeah.
And that's where the Babadook goes. And then she picks up Sam, and they go downstairs, and they sit in the living room, and they just hold each other. Well, she holds him in, the way that moms are supposed to hold their kids. And so it's sweet. Really sweet. And then so next scene, we cut ahead to 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
They're having a real birthday party for Sam. We already see. Well, no, they don't have it yet. They're prepping.
I'm pretty sure it's just them two in the garden.
And the neighbor.
Just
probably.
them two.
The neighbor.
Oh yeah, the neighbors.
So she goes. We see immediately a change has happened. She goes to pick the kid up from the neighbor. He runs and she scoops him up and gives him a big hug. They're doing much, much, much better. She says to the social workers, where he's going to be in school next week. We just needed some time to sort a few things out.
Yeah. And also when they're talking to the social worker, Sam's like, my dad died on my birthday or whatever.
Yeah.
And she is like, Sam's just like his dad, always says it's on his mind.
Yeah.
And also they are openly talking about the husband.
Mm-hmm.
And, she's not angry at Sam for having said that. She's like, this is who Sam is. And he's like his dad or whatever.
It's okay to talk about his dad. And so it's good. So then they're out in the garden. He's doing magic tricks that are much too advanced for a 6-year-old.
Where'd he get that dove?
He conjures a dove. Where'd he get a goddamn dove? I never have seen a dove in the wild.
No, you need to buy a dove.
Yeah, maybe
if
a pigeon.
I learned one thing from the movie Stepmom, a dove must be bought.
Yeah, I don't know where he got that dove. But then they're digging up worms, and she's like, ooh, that's a good one. And she takes a bowl of worms downstairs. He says, can I ever come down and see it? And she says, when you're bigger, you can. She goes into the basement, and there's an unseen presence that rears up. You only see her. You see it from her perspective, so she's looking up, and she says, easy, it's okay.
Yeah.
And she gives it the worms. So we are given to understand that the Babadook is still there. The grief, the struggle, it's still there, but she's just learned how to manage it.
And she tends to it like a mother.
Right. She gives it what it needs so that it's not dangerous anymore.
Yeah.
So it gets very fucking allegorical here. And then, she and Sam just hug and hang out. Yeah. That's sweet. And that's the end of the movie.
Have his little 2-person birthday party.
We finally saw a movie that doesn't end really dissatisfyingly, though. You know what I mean?
True. It's a happy ending.
Yeah.
That's kind of rare in a horror movie.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say a lady wrote it, but ladies write sad endings too, but it's about motherhood. It's a compassionate, hopeful view of motherhood. So that's the Babadook.
Babadook, Dook, Dook.
Babadook. What are you going to give it, Calais?
I feel very mixed up.
Yeah.
Mixed up files of Mrs. Tingleby, whatever her name was. Part of me wants to give it 2. Part of me wants to give it 4.
2.
So I'll land at a 3.
Okay, I think that's
But
good.
I don't like giving things 3 because it makes me feel like I'm ambivalent, and I wasn't.
It's okay, though.
I think it was... Okay, here's how I feel. I think I give it 2 because as a horror movie, it goes too much in the way of an allegory. Though I have to say I loved Get Out, and I think Get Out is that way as well.
Get Out's really funny, though.
Get Out is funny.
The characters are a lot more fleshed out.
Thank you. This is not funny at all, and I need funny.
Yeah.
TBS, very funny. And so I want to give it 4 because I think it's really, as a film, it's really thoughtful and different and special in a lot of ways and groundbreaking in a lot of ways. But as a horror film,
but that's why we have a separate scream emoji category.
Yes, but I think just as a film.
I see. As
a horror film, not that it wasn't, not to say anything about its scariness, but just as a horror movie, what I like in my horror movies, it doesn't do it for me. Mm-hmm. I will not watch The Babadook again, probably. Okay. And I can watch movies over and over and over again.
Yeah.
The Babadook is not one that I'll revisit. And Scream Faces, oi, too.
Okay.
I don't think it's scary.
I think that's totally fair. Okay, first I'm gonna give it 4 stars. It's more like a 4.5 for me, but I'm gonna round it down. And the reason being is that it's a little slow in places, which is part of the slow burn, but it's not scary enough for the slow burn to be totally effective. I was just like, okay, let's like speed it up a little here, folks. And then also because the characters, and again, we can justify it because of the Fable thing, but some of the characters are just unforgivably horrid and it's frustrating. So I will give it a 4 for those reasons. But I am so appreciative of the movie for the reasons that I've already outlined. I just think it's such an important, rare perspective. It's so compassionate. I really, really love the relationship between the mom and the kid. I think both of the characters are heroes in their own right, and we end up rooting so strongly for both of them. So I'm happy about the Babadook. Also a 2 though on the scary. It's really, that's why we picked it actually this week so I could watch it with my mom, not just because it's about moms wanting to kill their kids, but because it's not that scary. I mean, my mom definitely was stressed out by it. She's not a scary movie person and like grossed out by it. And my sister, she likes scary movies, but she was like, I remember it being pretty scary. I never have thought it's very scary, but I will give it a 2 based on those other people's reactions to it. And because it's like, it is stressful and a dog fucking dies, which is terrible.
People went bananas for this movie though.
Yeah. Well, I think people were really excited about it's really different from anything people had seen before. And the Babadook itself as a monster is different. It's like a quiet little nursery rhyme of a horror film. You know? And I think I think it's one of the more feminist movies of the last 10 years.
Well,
5 years.
Why I have to give it a 4.
You can give it a 3. It's okay. Just because a movie is important or like represents an underrepresented perspective doesn't mean it's a good movie or that it's for everyone. You know, but it really pushes buttons for me for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a good movie. I think it's not my cup.
Totally. I getcha. All right, we've come to an amicable understanding about the Babadook.
We surely have.
Yeah.
The Babadook. He brings us all together.
Watch it. Go ahead and watch it.
Yeah, sure. It's
watch
on
it
Netflix.
on Mother's Day. Watch it for Pride. Watch it
on Netflix,
because
so.
Yeah, it is on Netflix, and it's only 95 minutes long.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't mean it's kind of slow. It is kind of slow. Watch it on like 1.5 speed.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Yeah, or just like watch something.
Not gonna lie, I thought about doing that.
Really? Well, you'd seen it before. I mean, I'd seen it before too.
And then I forgot. I watched The Strange Thing About the Johnsons at a full 2, and
girl,
still fucked me right up.
What is wrong with that man, Ari Aster?
Also,
you okay,
I can't
dude?
imagine how. It must be unimaginably slow moving because at 2 it seemed normal.
Oh, interesting. It's only 30 minutes.
I know.
Wow.
And I only had 15 minutes to give it.
Oh man. All right. Well, we did it. What else do we have to say? Oh, if you like this podcast, please go on iTunes and rate it. Give us 5 stars. Review it. Write a little. It doesn't matter. It can be like, I like this. Literally just like, if you like this podcast, we need to know that you like it so that we can keep making it, you know? Yeah. And iTunes needs to know. And you can also follow us if you want to know what we're watching next week on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram at ScreamGirlsPod, or you can email us at screamgirlspodcast@gmail.com.
We'd love to hear from you.
We love it.
In the meantime, thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. If you're having trouble with being a mom, get some therapy. Don't read any strange books that turn up on your shelf. And, we were all born this way, so celebrate diversity in every sense.
Yes.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.